Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. At Survivor Series, it was champion versus champion as WWE champion Drew McIntyre battled Universal champion Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. Get this 11x14 poster autographed by all three men. Limited edition, number 42 of only 50, with authentication hologram on the back of the poster itself. Comes with a mystery autographed 8x10 photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. Wrestling fans, Saturday night, May the 8th, MWF Studios gets extreme as ECW legend New Jack joins us for the very first time, taping episodes of Wrestling Insiders along with taking part in a live cyber autograph signing open to fans around the world. For more information on joining the three-time ECW Tag Team Champion for must-see TV, visit bostonwrestling.com and our social media platforms.
Cheer! Why, hello! I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, a lot happening in the Millennium Wrestling Federation, but I couldn't be happier to kick off Season 2 of Memories and Legends with the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Tony, I've known you almost 25 years now.
At least.
Since those Tony Rumble days, and here we are back in this wonderful studio.
Yes, we are. It's always a pleasure coming down there, kind of get to shock the memory a little bit because, we lived so much and went so many places, but a lot of stuff, along the years, we forgot. So we have programs like this, give us time to reflect on our career.
Podcasts are a popular thing right now. Well, you know what? You can listen to this like a podcast if you want in the background, or Here you get the video version. You can actually see the responses and the facials and whatnot. So I like video more than just the audio. That's just
Yeah, because that way you could enjoy it and you could watch it over and over. And if you miss something the first time you watch it again the third or fourth time, and you see things you didn't see or hear things you didn't hear the first time you watch it.
We got to give the cheap plugs as we start, because I know the fans are going to be enamored with your story. You got the T-shirt on right now.
That's right.
How can we get the Tony Rumble T-shirt?
If you want to get the official Tony Atlas T-shirt, all you got to do is contact Pro Wrestling Tees, as long as CM Punk and all them guys, and they got some nice T-shirts of Tony Atlas. So go online, look at Pro Wrestling Tees/Tony Atlas, and get one of my T-shirts. I think you're going to enjoy it.
And you got the book.
And I got a book. You go to crowbarpress.com and you can read the book of my biography. It's called Too Much, Too Soon. And later on, you're going to find out the reason why we named it that, because when I started my career, everything came to me so quickly that I couldn't process it all, and it led to my downfall. So my book explained all of that.
All right, Tony, the fans are going to be watching this Friday, April the 6th. You and I are going to be in New Orleans as part of the WrestleCon convention.
We will.
Over at the Boston Wrestling Table, John Cena Sr. will be with us. Larry the Axe Henning, you talk about a great old-timer, Larry Henning. Cowboy Bob Orton, the Hall of Famer, and Hardcore Holly. I know, Tony, you're going to be with another vendor, so come on out and meet you.
Yeah, y'all, it's a great WrestleMania weekend. You know, it's good that we have other events going on other than the Hall of Fame and WrestleMania, because everybody can't fit into the stadium at WrestleMania. Everybody can't fit into the arena at the Hall of Fame. But everybody can enjoy WrestleMania together, because we got other events that goes around WrestleMania, Fanfest and everything. So it's going to be an enjoyable weekend. And where else? No place out there. New Orleans, the party town, baby.
You got it, baby.
Oysters and beer.
Now, you know what John Cena Sr. said to me? He said when he walks down Bourbon Street, they don't throw beads at him, they throw panties at him.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you believe that?
Oh, they throw oysters and beer at me.
All right,
And
Tony,
gumbo.
When
Your light went off.
no, don't worry about that, Tony. You just do your
I
thing.
just talk and
you
don't
just
worry
talk
about
and the
light.
camera will find you.
The camera's all over the place right now.
When the fans have access to this video, Tony, we're just going to be hours away from the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. You yourself was inducted back in 2006 in Chicago. In this episode of Memories and Legends, what I want to do is, Tony, you've got the experience, you've been on the road, you worked with so many of these great legends and superstars. Some suspect, a lot of people have their thoughts on different Hall of Famers that have been inducted, but when you're with us, what I want to do is almost what they call the name game. We'll talk about 4 different Hall of Famers that are in the news right now that you worked with.
Okay.
You've got memories and stories. Let's start off with a man who's got a tremendous biography, a video that's coming to HBO this Tuesday night, the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant.
Right.
You worked with Andre. I know that for sure. You tagged with Andre. Your memories of the big man.
Well, Andre the Giant was the most phenomenal individual I ever saw in my life. I mean, I seen the Big Show. I saw the Great Colleen. I saw a lot of big guys, but I never in my life seen anything like Andre the Giant. Andre is the type of guy you could walk into a restaurant with him, and if Andre eat, everybody eat. And when Andre paid for his meal, he paid for everybody's meal in that restaurant.
He was
generous. He'd go to a
generous.
bar, very generous man. He'd go to the bar, and he would just pay for everybody beer, or alcohol, whatever you drink. Andre picked up the tab for everybody. Andre was the type of guy, he wasn't very sociable with people. He liked me a lot because I used to always tell Andre I got bigger arms. So if you told Andre you got something bigger than him, it made him like you, because Andre always wanted to fit in. If you talk about his size, oh, Andre, you so big, I can't believe how big you are, he wouldn't want to be around you. Because to him, you're making him an outcast. You know, everybody want to be big like that, but when you're big like that, all you think about is fitting in. If you're a midget, you always think about fitting in. So to talk about a midget's size, how small he is or how short he is, to call a midget shorty or runt or anything, he don't like that, because you're alienating them from society. Well, it's the same thing with janks. Andre didn't like to be looked at as being a jank among the boys. For the fans to call him a jank was okay, because they paid to see the jank. But among the boys, he always wanted to just be a regular guy, which was amazing. you know, that he had such great size and strength and ability, but he felt like he was never normal. There was no normalcy to it. Like, so he liked guys like me, Don Morocco, guys that didn't talk so much on his size. And a midget would like if you don't mention his size too.
Really?
Same thing, yeah. Midgets don't want to hear you. They know they're short. They don't want you to keep telling them.
Well, I tell you, Andre certainly was one of the great attractions in professional wrestling history. Our good friend Paul Bearer and I once debated who was the greater special attraction, Andre or The Undertaker. That's a debate that we could have in another time.
Andre.
You think Andre over The Undertaker?
Well, here's the difference between Andre and Undertaker. They had a thing during the time of Andre they called territories. Mm-hmm. So you could wrestle in New York and nobody knew you in Virginia.
Right.
You could wrestle in Japan and nobody knew you in Puerto Rico. Now, when The Undertaker came along, he could wrestle in one place and be seen in all these other places. Where Andre had to go to these places to be known.
Each territory and be new.
He had to go there to be known. So more people that saw Andre up close and in person than they seen of The Undertaker. You see The Undertaker on television, but it's very rare that anybody get up close to Undertaker. With Andre, you can come up and shake his hand. How many people in the whole year of Undertaker have shook Undertaker's hand or took a picture with Undertaker? There's very, very few people that have came in physical contact with the Undertaker or John Cena. It started during the Hulk Hogan era when Vince started to separate the wrestlers from the fans. When Andre came out of the dressing room and walked to his car, there may be 100 or 200 people that would pat him on the back and would walk Andre to the car. When Undertaker come out the building, there's 100, 200 to 300 people on the other side of the fence that can't touch him.
Right.
You know?
The guys were more accessible in that
The
era.
guys, Andre was more acceptable, so people got more out of the Andre era than they did out of the Undertaker era, because what you did with Andre stayed with you for the rest of your life. I mean, you sat and have a beer with Andre. You shook Andre's hand. You took a picture with Andre. You pet Andre. You felt him. You got up close to him. So that stick with you. Then to see somebody that is 10 feet away from you waving at you. People see Taker on TV. They see him in the ring, at arenas, but they never get up close and personal. And with Andre, you was able to get up close and personal.
You mentioned the territory system. Andre, he was under contract with Vince McMahon Sr., but to keep him fresh, they would send Andre all over the globe to the different territories. They'd almost rent him out.
They did that. Like Ric Flair done that. Like wrestling don't have a world champion no more.
Right.
There's no such thing as a world champion. When Harley Race or Ric Flair was world champion, they went to Japan to defend their belt. They went to Puerto Rico to defend their belt. They went to South America to defend their belt. They went to Canada to defend their title. They went to Europe to defend their title. They went to every territory and every organization. Now, a world champion, if he wrestled more than 10 people, it would be America. Because he only compete within his organization. He don't take on the champion in Japan. He don't take on the champion in Europe. He only fight those that is in the WWE. If you're not in the WWE, you will never step in the ring with John Cena. But you did not have to be with the WWE in order to wrestle Ric Flair or Andre the Giant or Harley Race.
Right.
You could be from another territory.
What?
You could be from another territory and still be able to wrestle a Nick Bockwinkel, who was AWA champion. You could still wrestle Ric Flair, who was NWA champion. You could still wrestle Bob Backlund, who was WWF champion at that time. So the older guys was more acceptable to the people, plus the older guys got more wrestling experience because they didn't have a repeat of the same guys all the time.
Right.
Because you only got so many people you could put against Cena, so many people you could put against Taker, so many people you could put against Roman Reigns before you had to come back around because there are only so many people in that organization.
Right.
Whereas with Andre, he could wrestle, have 1,000 matches in a year, and 300 matches in a year, and not one would be against the same guy.
And that was the beautiful thing about the territorial system. He must have had at its peak maybe 25 promotions around the world you could go and work to and get full-time work. The money was not what it is now in WWE. But you're talking
it was
about
more.
You're talking about a roster.
The money was more.
The money was more in the territory days?
The money was more, yeah.
Now, how can you say that?
Well, you see, you base it on the economy. Back when Andre the Giant and them was wrestling, you could buy a house for $25,000.
Okay.
You could buy a brand new Cadillac for anywhere a brand new Cadillac for $10,000. Gas was less than $1. Guys, Ric Flair in the early '70s, were making $4,000 and $5,000 a week. Mm-hmm. I first started on my first debut in 1975. I was making $150,000 a week.
Wow.
In 19.
A year, you mean?
I mean, a year. When me and Rocky were champion, we made $350,000 a year as WWF champion in the 80s.
Wow.
I went back in 2008, and my pay was $100,000 a year.
Really? Well, you weren't in a position in
Don't
2008.
matter. Most of the guys that you see on TV is not making more than that. There's only a handful of guys that is making the big bucks.
You got the top guys that make the really good money.
The average guy is making between 100 to 125. But when you make $100,000 a year with the WWE, you self-employed.
Right.
So if you don't have deduction, 48,000 of that 100,000 belong to Uncle Sam.
Right.
Unless you a top star like the Undertaker, you have to pay for your own hotel, you have to pay for your own rental car, and pay for your own food. The only thing that the office pays for is just your plane ticket.
Right.
Nothing else. Only very few people got the big contracts. The rest is making
the table
less,
scraps almost.
pretty much.
All right. Well,
Like I get royalty check. I get 1% of a penny.
now, explain that.
I get 1% of a penny.
You received a check for 1% of a penny?
Of a penny, yeah.
That must have been a bad quarter for Tony Atlas.
Well, no, that's my deal.
Yeah.
1% of a penny.
Well, you also must have received some nice royalty checks over the years.
Been 1% of a penny ever since he started it.
You've never received a royalty check for more than 1 penny?
No, it's 1% of a penny. So like if he sell, like let's say 1 million copies or something,
Yeah.
I may get $100 out of it.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
So you have received some decent royalty checks. Okay.
Yeah. But I think the largest royalty check that I ever received for the WWE was $600.
Okay. And you get them 4 times a year, right?
No, 3.
3. Okay.
3. And sometimes you don't get one.
Really?
Yeah. If you don't, if your royalties don't get $50, anything under $50, they won't send it to you.
So they hold on to it?
Well, they just keep it. They only bother with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well, back to Andre. What kind of a draw was he? I mean, you were with him probably at his peak. I know you did a lot of 6-mans with Andre around the WWF in the early to mid-'80s.
Andre sold out every building he went to.
Yeah.
You know, you got to stop and think about during that period of time to see a guy like that. You know, you don't see it. Even today, you don't see people like that. So people knew that Andre was somebody that if you don't see him today, you probably never see him.
Right.
And they knew that it's going to be a while before somebody else of that caliber comes along. And so far, since Andre passed, nobody else had took his place.
No.
It was just one of a kind type of guy that just come in, and if you don't see it now, you won't see it again. Like going to the circus, and you see the 3-headed monster. There's only one 3-headed monster on the whole earth. So if you don't go and buy a ticket to see him while he's in your town, then you're probably never going to ever get to see him. So he was a phenomenon, not only to back then, but also today's too.
Wow. Well, Andre, I know the documentary, again, it's coming on HBO. His stories are legendary of his drinking. Did you ever experience the Andre the Giant in the bar? What was the drinking experience
when you
like?
look at the size of Andre, he drank less than everybody else when you look at his size.
True.
You know, but what it was, because he was so big, what would be a 6-pack to me is like 1 beer to him. See? And he would hold them like this. And it'd be 1 sip.
Massive hands.
Yep. He would hold it just like that with 2 fingers. Throw away the can. Just like that. So a sip of beer to me is a can of sip to him. And he had 64 teeth in his mouth. The average human got 32.
He had more teeth than the
Than
average
average
person?
human, yeah.
Really? How do you get more
And
teeth?
I don't know. That's why Andre, his biggest fear was that the scientists, they offered millions and millions of dollars for his body when he died.
Really?
And that's why he got cremated right away.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't want them digging him up and experimenting on him.
Wow.
Yeah. He had that fear.
Really?
But he was what we call a missing link. He was, yeah.
Sure.
He was a missing. And if you look at Andre and his build, Andre the Giant and Law Littlebrook had the same physique.
You know what? You're not
He
too
was
far
not
off.
built like he was built like a giant dwarf.
Interesting.
When you look at Andre, you saw a giant dwarf. You did not. When you look at a big show, you see a big man. Look at Carly, you look at a big man. When you look at Andre, you see a dwarf, a giant dwarf.
I never thought of it that way.
That's right. His hands came to his hip.
Yeah.
He had short legs, a long torso, a big head, and short arms.
Unbelievable.
Look at every picture of Andre, and then you look at a picture of any midget that been a little lower. Take a picture of little lower, put it right beside Andre. They got the same build.
Just one's much bigger than the other.
He was built like a giant dwarf.
Did you ever travel with Andre at all?
Yes, he did.
Now, how hard was it for the man to actually travel? What was that like?
He break your seat.
In the car you're talking about,
The car go in the shop the next day.
Now you'd have to put him, I imagine, in the front with the seat all the way back?
And then he would lean in to get in, to put his leg in, and seat pop every time.
Talk about a struggle. Things that we take for granted, getting in and out of a car, for him was an extreme challenge every time he did it.
Yeah, and finally they had to get him a special made van to drive him around, because none of the rest would give him a ride because he kept breaking the seat.
Who drove in the van with him?
Arnold Skolin drove him around some, and then they had another guy. They always had somebody to take him around.
Tim
Frenchie,
White, I think?
Yeah, Frenchie, Tim White, and a lot of guys.
Frenchie Bernard.
Yep, yeah, he would drive him around, but he always had a driver because Andre, they couldn't find a seat bigger, and Andre never stopped growing.
And I don't think the fans understand that. And
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
how painful that must have been on his body.
It was, that's why he drank a lot.
Yeah.
He drank a lot to kill the pain. But Andre never stopped growing. They had medicine. The big show is taking the medicine, and they offered Andre. Andre wouldn't take the medicine.
How come?
He said that God made him like this, and it's not his place to change what God made.
Well, if it could have extended his life, I think it might have been a good decision.
When Andre speak, leave it alone.
Well, I tell you.
Because he would throw you across the room.
He'd
reach right over the table, grab you by your belt buckle, and sling you way over there.
Now, did you ever experience it, the angry giant like that?
I've wrestled Andre before. It was like wrestling a refrigerator.
Really?
Yeah. It's nothing you could do against that. It was nothing. When Andre passed away, he had to be at least 700-800 pounds when he passed away.
He looked awful towards the end.
Yeah.
He was doing matches in Mexico and Japan, and they're available on YouTube, and he just looked, it was really tough to watch.
Yeah, because his
so hard for him to move.
Yeah, his joints started to lose his strength.
Yeah.
You know, his joints started deteriorating a great deal. But Andre punished his body a lot. He never took care of himself. He never worked out. He didn't eat good.
Never went to the gym?
Never went to the gym. I asked him one time to go to the gym. He said, I'm big enough. That was it. He said, I'm big enough.
Do you have any favorite memories of him that you experienced?
Well, I do, but I don't like talking about it in public because some of it is have a sexual nature to it.
Oh, wait, Tony, wait a minute.
But I don't like talking about
it. A horny giant? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we all were.
Were there Andre the Giant
well,
rats?
What Donald Trump say is true. When you got money and fame, you could do anything you want with women.
And Andre had his women?
He had women coming out the yang gang.
They wanted to see just how giant he was? Is that what you...
They want to be with a giant. They want to be with a giant.
Oh,
They're
Tony, we got to hear these sometime.
You get more play with giants and midgets.
The midgets too?
Midgets too.
Now, why the midgets?
Because, I mean, how often could a woman be with a midget?
I tell you,
certain women got a certain curiosity about themselves. That when I first moved to Maine, I was the only black guy in my town, and every white girl there wanted to see was it true or not.
Really?
Because they'd never been for a black guy.
No, but you were with someone.
This was after you. So I didn't endure it because of my wife, but I had a lot of offers, young, beautiful white girls, just because I was black, no other reason.
So your favorite Andre memories of him in hotel bedrooms, is that what you're trying to say?
Yep.
After a night of drinking?
Yep. The women would come up to his bar, they would bring him food, they'd bring his beer, they'd show him around, they'd do everything
French
for him.
wine? He loved the French wine, didn't he?
Whatever he wanted, the women were there. But they were there for a lot of guys. Ric Flair, the same thing. Ric Flair had more women coming in and out of his door than you could shake a stick at. Harley Race. There was not a wrestler that I knew that didn't have a lot of women running out of their room. I would say the only exception, when you look back on it, would be like Tito Santana. He was very faithful to his wife, and that was about it.
Wow. Well, I tell you, any locker room that Andre was in, I'm sure he controlled that locker room.
No, Andre was very laid back.
Really?
Andre,
Now, what was an Andre like in the locker room?
Well, Andre wanted to be like everybody else.
He liked to play cards, I believe.
He loved to play cards. He was just like everybody else. He was, he didn't dominate nothing. He was very, very humble guy, among the boys. He liked being around the boys. He liked the boys, do you think the professional wrestling locker room was almost his safe zone, where he was around people he knew? The locker room used to be all wrestlers' safe zone. It's not no more. Right. See, wrestling ended in 1985, and it became sports entertainment.
But we're going to talk about that in the episode we're going to have airing this Sunday night.
Yeah.
Before WrestleMania 34. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
It should be.
We're going to cover the period from 84 to 86.
No WrestleMania. It's sports entertainment mania.
Right. Yeah.
Wrestling is gone. Vince McMahon, out of his own, these are his words, not mine. I beat Ted Turner because Ted Turner is in the wrestling business. I'm in the entertainment business. Vince Jr. had never been in the wrestling business. Vince Sr. was in the wrestling business. We still call it wrestling, but it's not wrestling.
It has certainly changed and evolved.
Right.
To say the least. Tony, let me ask you this. If you could sum up Andre the Giant in a couple of sentences, what would it be?
He was about the most phenomenal, nicest, I would say one of the best friends I've had in this business.
Really?
Wonderful person.
Really?
Thought a lot of Andre. I thought he protected me through a lot of stuff.
All right.
I liked him. He always treated me good.
All right. Fans, you heard it, the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, sending it over to the hard camera, the little Dutch boy in the back. There he goes, the man from Holland, Wes Simcoe. I tell you, you talk about what you wrote in your autobiography, our director in the back, Wes Simcoe. He loves the mother-daughter action.
Oh, wow.
He has 2 sets of them.
Oh, boy.
One running down the street from here and one in New Hampshire. I don't want to break kayfabe.
Boy, yeah.
We'll talk about that off camera. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we'll have more Memories and Legends with the Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas.
Where that coffee, kid?
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon, but we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by 2-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to the Season 2 premiere of Memories and Legends. Tonight, it's the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony in New Orleans. We're going to be there as part of WrestleCon, Tony. Let's continue to break down some of the careers, experiences you had with some of these great Hall of Famers. The next one on the list is someone that's been in the news a lot the past couple of weeks. We're talking about probably the longest reigning champion in any way, shape, or form, the Fabulous Mula.
Moolah, being a female, a lot of people ask me, say, Tony, well, there's a lot of racism in wrestling. I always tell people, not as much as sexism. Moolah had to work twice as hard as the guys to, that's why she stayed around for so long. Because by the time the doors opened up for women, Moolah was far in her age, her and Mae Young.
Yeah.
So that's why they stayed around so long. They waited for that opportunity where they could be getting known worldwide. Like Moolah one time was in a bar, and Bob Orton Sr., not Jr., Randy Orton's grandfather, got in a bar fight. The guy tried to come up from behind him and stick him, and Moolah saved his life by busting a pop bottle over a beer bottle over his head.
Really?
And Moolah would fight a guy. A lot of people didn't know that. And they played a joke on him one time. They put her in shoot matches. And she had to beat like 18 girls, and they said they'd give you the belt. Well, she had to beat them for real, not show, but beat them. Moolah beat all of them.
Wow.
And Mae Young and Moolah was always known to be very, very tough. And they would take on a guy. I seen Moolah in bar fights with men.
Really?
Yeah, you go to help her, she said, I can handle him.
Did you hear the news recently, Tony? WWE named the first ever women's battle royal the Fabulous Mula Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania 34 this year. There was a backlash on the internet about the abuse that women went through training under Moolah, and WWE, they backtracked because of the feedback they received, and they decided to remove Moolah from the name of the Battle Royal.
Well, that's because they didn't know.
Yeah.
She didn't abuse women. The thing that a lot of women didn't like about Moolah is that Moolah ran the women's group. See, Moolah knew how guys thought about women. Mm-hmm. And when I was wrestling back in my day, the guys didn't have no respect for women. Mm-hmm. I mean, women were just a play toy for most of the wrestlers. They used them, they didn't abuse them, but it was abuse in some way because some of the girls fell in love. And they used them, and the guys would do stuff like they have trains. They ever had two women in a room, and maybe 10 guys would do these two women. They ran training on them. They have orgies and stuff with women. Well, Moolah knew about the wild side of the wrestlers. Mm-hmm. So what Moolah tried to do was protect the wrestlers from, protect the women wrestler from the wrestler. He said, don't fool with a wrestler because you get a bad name. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the girls rejected that. Mm-hmm. And now they do have women dating wrestlers because the wrestlers are not the same. They're not wrestling, or they're in the entertainment business, so they can't do with the women what the wrestlers did with the women. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Plus it became corporate, it became big, so women's got more power and more authority. And you have sexual harassment and all that stuff, where you didn't have it during the days of Moolah. So the only way a woman can protect herself and her reputation in the days of Moolah is not to get sexually involved with any of the wrestlers.
Well, she was accused by some of her trainees of being sent on photo shoots that turned into adult photo shoots. Did you ever hear anything like that?
Moolah didn't know. See, a lot of people.
So Moolah would wait a minute. So Moolah would send these girls out on these photo shoots. Not knowing. It happened more than once.
Trying to get them booked because there were no contracts then.
There were stories that have gone around recently from some of the trainees that Moolah would almost pimp the women out to certain promoters that wanted sexual favors in exchange to get paid.
Not true.
Did you ever hear that?
Not true. Not true.
Oh, that's not true.
Not true. Moolah tried to protect the wrestlers, protect the girls from being sexually exposed. And that's why a lot of women didn't like her, because the fact that she would stand in the way of that. Mm-hmm. She was totally against that.
So to your knowledge, that
you
never happened.
You talked to Rennie Rickler, she was the same with all of them. She didn't. The wrestlers, the girls could not date. She kept them away from us. They couldn't date wrestlers. So the wrestlers didn't know what the girl did. If they got in a type of, they didn't party with her, they didn't go out and drink with her, and they didn't take guys back to their room like we took women back to our room. So Moolah wanted the women to stay respected, and women like Rennie Rickler, all their women, they was always respected because they didn't fool with the wrestler. When I first went back and I saw Undertaker and Michelle McCool that they was dating, I was shocked.
Really?
I was shocked because they was always against that. The wrestler dating.
Do you think it's a good idea for the male wrestlers to get involved with the female wrestlers? Because it usually doesn't end well.
Well, you can't judge love.
Yeah.
You know, Moolah tried to control love. You can't control human emotions. You can't control love. People gonna do what they want to do, regardless of what rules or regulation you put up. So I ain't gonna tell somebody don't date this person because they was a wrestler. Now it works out better because the women's coming up now are as much business orientated as the men's are. So, yeah. so for some it worked great, and for others it will not work.
Did you ever get involved with a female wrestler in a relationship?
No.
Never,
Never
really?
did.
Now,
Never
why
did.
was that? Was it by choice?
No, because Moolah wouldn't let you.
Okay.
They was all. She was very strict with her girls.
So you believe that Moolah really went out of her way to try and protect the girls?
And plus, most of the female wrestlers was white, and I couldn't date white women.
Why?
You know why? It's America.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. A lot of the
There's America. You can't date white women back in the 70s. Are you kidding me? In the 80s?
a lot of the trainees went on to say that Moolah took a ridiculous percentage from them, as much as 40% of their paydays. Then, some overheard her at one point trying to take a little food and hotel money that was promised to them by the promoters, and she pocketed that too. Did you ever hear stories like that, that she financially exploited these women?
All agents got a percentage. She was the agent. They all got a percentage.
40%.
Well, I don't know if it was that what the exact amount was. A lot of people like to exaggerate the numbers.
Absolutely.
A lot of people
Absolutely.
would exaggerate the number. But a lot of them went to school, they didn't pay. So they trained it, came out, they paid. When they started paying, some paid, was able to pay up front for the training. Some was not. Those that was not, Moolah deducted from their pay.
So to be fair to the Fabulous Mula, a lot of these female trainees, they didn't pay anything when they went to her initially.
Some of them did.
Well, that's only fair
did.
then that they
right.
repaid.
So those that did not, she deducted from their pay.
Two sides to every story, and you actually knew the woman.
Yep.
John Cena Sr. and I had quite a video about the Moolah situation that was available online last week. There was talk that there was lesbian sex that went on with Moolah and some of these trainees. Did you ever hear any rumors to that extent?
Well, I hear rumors about it, but I never witnessed. But it was also homosexual sex among the guys, but nobody talking about.
Yeah. So all in all, you think Moolah's getting a bad rap right now?
Oh, of course. She always did.
Tell us the Fabulous Mula that you know.
She was a hard worker, tough, very business orientated, very friendly, very hard working. When I first met Moolah, we was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Dusty Rhodes was coming in for the show. They flew him in. Terry Funk was coming in. They flew him in. Andre the Giant was coming in. They flew him in. Moolah came in. She drove. And I never forget that.
Really?
Yep, they didn't fly Moolah around. They didn't take care of. See, the guys never really wanted women in the business.
Yeah.
They figured this is a man's sport. Women don't belong in the business. That was just a belief in the 60s, the 70s. And so women's always had a very, very, very. Just recently, I noticed Vince McMahon had done more for women wrestlers than any promoter that I had seen. You know, he started a whole new woman division.
Almost to the point where they're over pushing it, but that's a different story.
No,
for a
they're not
different
over
time.
pushing.
Oh, I disagree with you on that, Tony.
No, I don't think they're over pushing. I'll tell you the reason why I don't think they are over pushing it, because it's not wrestling no more.
All right.
It's sports entertainment.
You are correct.
It's sports entertainment now. It's not wrestling. Now, in the wrestling days, guys want to see two big, hairy, 300-pound guys go at it. In today's time, people just want to be entertained. They don't care if you're a good wrestler. That was true with Bob Backlund, who was a great amateur, a great pro wrestler, but then a guy that maybe had 5 moves called Hulk Hogan came and took his place, became the biggest draw that you ever see. Another guy named Dusty Rhodes that never saw the inside of a gym, that had maybe 3 moves, became a bigger name than Bob Backlund. So it got to the place where your wrestling ability was not as important as putting asses in the seat.
Right.
There's certain things about certain people, and your ability to do that job is not that important. Mm-hmm. If people like you and people pay to see you, or if it was politics, if people vote for you, they don't care if you can write your own name. They vote for you, you're in, buddy. Right. And that's what they go by. The ratings tells all. Because when I first started, the best wrestlers were jobbers.
Yeah.
The best wrestlers was always guys
They just went out to try and make the superstars look great.
That's right, because S.D. Jones was a hell of a wrestler. But he never made it to the top because he couldn't draw money. People were not paid to see S.D. They were paid to see Tony Atlas, who had half the ability to S.D. They were paid to see Rocky Johnson. They were paid to see Tony Atlas. They were paid to see J.Y.D. J.Y.D. had 1 move, a hip toss, clothesline.
J.D. was limited, but he just had the look and the charisma.
Moves. Power slam, clothesline, and a hip toss. That was it. He knew no other moves.
All right, Tony, did you ever travel with Moolah? Or did
Yes, I did.
What was it like to travel with the...
Very professional like.
Yeah.
She treated me real good. We talked a lot about business. See, in the old days when guys travel, they talk about matches, they talk about the business, They talk about how they could improve themselves, and they complimented each other, and they gave each other advice. It's like they always put an older wrestler with a younger wrestler. When you put two young wrestlers together, they used to call that the bland leading the blind.
Yep.
Because what can a young man teach a young man?
Right.
Nothing. So they always would pair you up with someone older. So they would put me with Moolah, Johnny Weaver, Wahoo McDaniel, all these guys that was older than me so I could learn from them. So that's why I got to travel with Moolah in my younger days, because she'd been everywhere, so I could learn. I learned a lot from that woman.
All right, Tony, let's wrap this one up. Maybe you can do the late Fabulous Mula maybe a little favor. The backlash the WWE received from fans on Twitter and social media was out of this world to get her name off of that battle royal. In a couple of sentences, tell the folks the Fabulous Mula that you knew and worked with for so many years.
The Moolah was the pioneer of pro wrestling, and if it was for Moolah, the women that wrestled, they would not be wrestling. Moolah kept wrestling going because, like I said, they didn't want the women in the business. So if Moolah was not there to train these women, how were they going to get trained? Right. There was no guy that was going to train a woman to be a wrestler back then. Moolah kept women wrestling in the business. If Moolah had not dedicated herself to training these women, there would be no place for the women to go train, and there would be very few women. All your women, Wendy, Ric Flair, all of them, they all came from Moolah. You know, that Moolah came from all of them. That was the only place you could go. Women didn't have but one place to go. And Moolah created that one place for them because she saw, Moolah was trained by guys. But Sputnik Monroe and all them guys, they the one that helped Moolah. But then they didn't want women in the business. So where can a woman go to get trained? The only one place to go, and that was to Moolah.
Right. Well,
and if it was for Moolah, there would be no Michelle McCool, there'd be no Wendy Richter, there'd be no Chana. All these women you see, they would not been in the business. Women would have been out of the business in the 70s.
all right, wrestling fans. If you're active on social media, I'm sure you've read about things that have been said about Fabulous Mula. You're hearing from a gentleman that loves his beef jerky, that worked with her and knew her, traveled with her. We'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below, as always. Right now, I'm going to take a brief time out. Tony needs a snack. We'll be back with more Memories and Legends. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon, but we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
As the Demon, he became the first WWE Universal Champion at SummerSlam 2016. Here's your chance to own this limited edition collector's autographed art print, personally signed by Finn Balor, one of only 50 made, direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome collectible for your wrestling collection now.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to the Season 2 premiere of Memories and Legends, kicking it off with the Hall of Famer himself, Tony Atlas. We're just hours away from the 2018 Hall of Fame ceremony. WWE is nice enough to have me at the ceremony. Maybe you'll be there if you're in New Orleans. You're a Hall of Famer. You
well, I
should
doubt
be.
it because I'm on the blacklist.
No pun intended.
I've been on the blacklist since 1982.
Really?
Well,
All right. Well, we're going to get into that in some of these great memories.
I'm on that what they call the blacklist. I've been on there since 1982. Me and Rocky went on there together.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about that gentleman in future time. Right now, I wanted to talk to you about a man that is going to be inducted tonight, a man that you managed in WWE. Talking about the world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
Mark Henry is one of the most underestimated athletes that the WWE ever had. I think that he could have been marketed differently than what he was marketed. And when Hogswallow will pin you, that ain't doing much for a man that's supposed to be the world's strongest man. To lose a match to a midget. You know, 450-pound man getting beat by an 80-pound man. And Mark is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful individual. He's one of the very few guys, him and Shelton Benjamin and Teddy Long, that after I left the WWE in 2010, they stayed in contact with me, and they remained my friend.
Shelton Benjamin is a wonderful human being.
Shelton Benjamin.
I love Shelton.
Shelton Benjamin is the toughest guy. Him and Shelton Benjamin, I would say, and Shane McMahon are the two toughest people in the WWE.
Now, why do you say that?
I know him.
All right.
I know him. Shelton is a hell of an amateur wrestler.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a hell of an amateur wrestler. And Shane McMahon is a hell of a mixed martial art fighter.
He does dabble in the MMA, yeah.
Shane McMahon is tough as nails.
I think
If you got in a fight with Shane McMahon, you better bring a lunch. That is one rugged. He may not look it, he may not show it, but in real life, Shane McMahon is about the toughest guy in the WWE.
I think the perception of him might change when he had his matches if he didn't wear that big loose jersey and the loose pants. You
It's
know what
not
I mean?
that. It's just that people don't see him.
Yeah.
He's not being promoted as that. It's kind of like Goldust is a cowboy, cowboy boots, cowboy hat, but he portrayed something else.
Right.
Goldust, which is not him. Like Cody Rhodes, where they try to make Cody Rhodes into all these different characters. That's not
Yeah,
Cody
I'll tell you, with
Rhodes.
Goldust, if they really wanted to use him, forget about being a cowboy. They could have taken the Val Venus porn gimmick and given it to Dustin with his
Yeah, but
little
it's still
dalliances.
not him.
Well, that would have been.
Right, but that's not the end of him. It's kind of like when they put me in the Africa suit and had me jump around the ring. Saba Simba, it was not me. You know, a lot of times they would get an idea and they would put a person in this idea that they figure it's going to work. They're going to try to make it work. But in the olden days, promoters did not give us any character to play. I asked one time this old promoter down in Charlotte, Joe Murnick was his name. And I said, what type of gimmick should I get? He said, just give it time, kid. You would come into your own. So like the Ric Flair, nobody told Ric Flair to be Ric Flair. Ric Flair created Ric Flair. Nobody told Ole and Gene Anderson how to be the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. They created that. Nobody named me Tony Atlas. Nobody made the Tony Atlas gimmick. Tony Atlas did that. Nobody made Soul Man, Rocky Johnson, the Soul Man. Rocky Johnson did that. But then in the mid-'80s, when Junior started taking over, Junior started giving people different characters to play. He did that in order so he could have copyrights over it.
Right.
That's why when Chana was no longer with the WWE, Chana could not use the name Chana. Even Undertaker, unless he buy rights to that name, he cannot use that name. They had a group here that was calling themselves the Undertaker, worked for the Savoy, two big Italian guys.
The Val Puccio.
The Val
and his
Puccio,
brother, yep.
yeah. Where they had to sell rights to that name to Vince. Because Vince could not use it because they had that
Right.
first.
Yeah, they had it
They were
first.
the first Undertaker. And so all this stuff now is copyright. Like right now today, I can't use Saba Simba in any kind of way. See? I can't use that.
And that's tough. You know, we're going to have to save my thoughts on this for a future episode because right now we're talking about Mark Henry himself. What a tenure he's had in WWE. He joined the company in 1996 after the Olympics. 22 years later, still with the company. It looks like he's going to be an ambassador and maybe move on to a production type role.
Mark Henry, whatever they got for Mark Henry, he deserved. Because Mark Henry is the one of the most loyal people that I know. I used to travel with him, and Mark Henry hate to be late. Mark Henry do as he's told. Mark Henry caused no problem. He works hard every day, go to the gym, work hard in the ring, work hard in the back. And what he does, he always, him and Teddy Long, will always try to help the younger kids. If Mark Henry can help you do something, he will help you do something. Like I said, Mark Henry, you know, I look at him as a son. You know, he's a
Really?
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. In fact, I was in Philly signing an autograph with Mark Henry about a month ago at the Icon of Wrestling, and I'm gonna be with Mark Henry the end of March 30 and March 31st.
Well, that already happened by the time this aired.
Yeah.
This is April 6th.
And so I get to see him occasionally. He had lost 100 pounds.
Really?
So he's down to 350. He was 450, now he's down to 350.
Wow, that's great.
But he's a great guy. He deserved to be into the Hall of Fame. He really deserved it.
How did you wind up with Mark Henry? Tell the story
Well,
there. You were sitting at home in
WrestleMania,
2008.
In 2006, Mark Henry was sitting in the audience, and he saw me. He told me that he was my childhood fan.
Really?
Yeah, he was a Tony Atlas fan. So he went to McMahon and talked to Vince about bringing me in as his manager.
So they waited a little bit to pull the trigger on it.
Well, because the reason they do that, because Vince planned everything 2 to 3 years down the road. So before Vince could tell you today, I'm gonna give you a job with the WWE. It may be a year before he do that. He got to finish what he got planned for this year. See, Vince right now is working on, once WrestleMania come, everything that Vince is working on now is for after WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the beginning of the new. That's when they had the trade, you know, where they had the draft and all that stuff. Because now they're going into a different era. So if he tell you today that he going to bring you in, it won't be until after WrestleMania before it really happens.
Yeah.
Or after the big, most all the hiring and firing tickets go along right. If you ever know, it's right after WrestleMania.
About a month or so after.
About a month or so. So Vince made a decision to bring me in 2006 or 2008 before he really. Because he had stuff already planned for 2007.
Right.
2007 was already planned. When WrestleMania hit 2018, 2019 is already planned. He's working on 2019 WrestleMania. And what he's going to do in 2019 is already planned. The building, the hotels, the matches is already planned already. He looks to Vince Senior look 3 months down the road. But the organization is bigger than that. They look 2 to 3 years down the road. So that's why if he could decide today to hire you, but it may be 2 years before it has to happen because he got to finish what he have already started.
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
that year already been planned out already.
How did you gel with Mark Henry? Was he happy when they finally brought you in 2008?
Yeah,
did you guys travel together?
Yeah. We went to the gym together. We went out clubbing together.
Really?
We ate together. We did everything together. We didn't sleep in the same room because we got our different sleeping habits. You know, I like getting up early. Mark likes staying up late. So, but we had our own room. But other than that, we rolled up and down the road together, ate in the same restaurant, worked out in the same gym. We was around each other. On time me and Mark Henry was not around each other, we went to sleep.
Was he an easy travel partner to have?
Very easy to get along with. He liked his music. He liked philosophy. He liked talking about different things. He liked talking politics, liked talking religion. Loved to listen to his music when he's on the road. And he loved to eat. What he want to eat.
When you guys would have those long rides in between the towns, what was it, the topics of conversation?
They vary. It depends on what was the topics of the day. Sometimes we'd be talking to politics. Sometimes we'd be talking about matches. Sometimes we'd be talking about family. It varies. It depends on what happened the night before. We just got along well together. You know, Mark Henry is a great guy. I have nothing bad to say about Mark Henry. You know, he's a very, very hard worker. Very hard worker.
How do you think he lasted so long? 22 years in WWE. There are very, very, very few guys.
He did what he was told.
Yeah.
He never buckled the system.
Well,
one of the rules of wrestling, for every wrestler, keep your mouth shut and do as you're told, and don't be late. Well, Mark Henry did all three. He kept his mouth shut, he did as he was told, and he was never late.
He ran into some issues early on. WWE, they gave him a 10-year, $250,000 a year contract, and they wound up sending him back to the OVW developmental system. Do you think that was a good experience for him?
Of course.
To maybe learn the wrestling from the ground roots up?
Oh, of course. Of course. That's why Vince created a school, because the wrestlers need a place to go to improve their performance. See, we did it in front of an audience.
Right.
And if it didn't work, they would send you to another territory. And you would learn another territory. Right. So that's how you learn. Like I couldn't keep up with the Mid-Atlantic. So he sent me to Texas for a while to learn a little bit. Then bring me back. Then he sent me to Missouri for a while. Bring me back. They didn't have wrestling school, so they would send you to a territory to learn more. Because with the territory, you wasn't getting as much exposure. You got to realize there was no cable. Everything was syndicated.
Right, yeah.
So I could wrestle in Texas, in Dallas. Nobody in Houston knew me.
No one saw it outside of that television territory.
They didn't even know me in Houston.
Yeah.
They didn't know me in New Orleans. So I could go here and I could wrestle and learn. Then they bring you back to the big area, Mid-Atlantic or WWF or AWA. There was a big one, or Mid-South, you know. And that's why I was able to do that, because they didn't have, what you could wrestle in Massachusetts, and nobody in New York knew who the hell you are. A good story about that, I was in Houston, Texas for Paul Bosch, and I was there with Bruno Sammartino. And Bruno was getting ready to go in the ring. And so they give a big announcement. Now from WWF former world heavyweight champion of the world, Bruno Sammartino. He walked through the door, you could hear a rat piss on cotton.
Really?
Nobody knew who the hell he was.
They didn't see the
didn't
New
get
York
that TV.
television.
Then if you come to Massachusetts, you ask any wrestling fan about an Indian, they say Chief J Strongbow. They don't know Wahoo
Didn't
McDaniel.
see Wahoo, yeah.
They didn't know nothing about Wahoo. Was the best wrestler, Indian wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Sure.
They didn't know him up here.
Yeah.
Then you go down to Charlotte, they don't know who the hell Chief J Strongbow is.
Yep.
Or George Animal Steel.
I really wish I was around for that era. I'd be a little older if I was,
Yeah.
but I tell you,
That's why
it was a magical time.
One wrestler could wrestle in Virginia as a bad guy, and then come to New York and be a good guy.
Good guy, yeah. And no one
They
would know
didn't
the
see
difference.
him, you know. And that's why guys were able to stay in the business for so long.
All right, well, Tony, I have to ask you this question. I know the subject of race does come up from time to time. Mark Henry, he stood up for himself when he encountered a situation with Michael Hayes using terminology he didn't really care for. Do you think he maybe risked putting himself in a bad position, reporting an executive as high up the food chain as Michael Hayes was?
Well, he was there for 20 years, so it didn't hurt him too bad.
At the time, he didn't reach 20 years at that point.
Yeah.
If it was you, would you have reported Michael Hayes?
No.
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 And why is that?
I came up at a different time. When I came up, Mike Hayes did too. That terminology, the N-word, was used regularly.
Yes.
It was a regular thing used by white wrestlers.
It was Connie almost.
It was part of the business. So we got called, like if you was Polish, you got called names. Just like they used to call, even on TV, think about Jesse Ventura calling Tito Santana Chico.
Right. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That was imagine doing that nowadays. They'd be
See?
crucified.
They'd be racist now.
Yeah.
See, so a lot of things that was considered racist now was acceptable then. So that's why Mark Henry did it at the right time. His timing was right. If he had done it during the 70s or during the 80s, he would have been blackballed.
He would have been out the door
He would have been out
probably.
the door, yeah, he would have to take it. You would have to take it. Like Ole Anderson, who was Polish, got ridiculed a lot for being Polish. I remember Ivy Puskett got ridiculed a lot for being Polish. So if you was of certain nationality, I remember some names they said about Italian guys that they wouldn't say when Bruno was around, but when Dominic DeNucci and all them other guys, they would use different slurs.
Guinea or something like that.
Yeah. You know, the Captain Lou Albano used to get on TV and talk about guineas. On
And
TV.
he was Italian.
He was Italian, you know, but he was using racist slurs. There was a lot of racist slurs used in that time. Not
Different
just,
world.
Well, it was a different world. You take like Red Fox used racial terms, George Jefferson, Archie Bunker, you know, comedians were using it. It was part of that world. When Mark Henry spoke up, he did it at the right time. Timing is everything. So when he spoke up, it didn't have the effect that it would have. But Mike Hayes didn't lose his job over it.
No, he had to go to sensitivity training. And I don't think Michael, I only heard it secondhand, but the way it was told to me was, I don't think he was really going out of his way to insult Mark Henry.
Yeah, he
with
was.
it. You think so?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, you were in the locker room.
Well,
so.
I know Micah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I know Micah.
Well, Tony.
I know his upbringing.
Yeah.
Where he come from. And all the guys were like that. They all was like, when I first started in the business, this is what I was told. Keep your mouth shut, do as you're told, don't be late, and stay away from white women. And that is still in today's time.
Really?
They still do not like the idea of a black guy walking through that door with a young, beautiful white girl on their arm. In fact, one of the guys got fired several times for doing that. You asked Teddy Long, he was part of the Brooklyn game there, Crime Time.
Oh, okay.
The tall one?
Yeah. He had a lot of white women?
Well, he had a white girlfriend. He used to bring her there, and you see the faces on these office people.
And you think that's what part of the reason why he wound up getting released?
Hell yeah.
Really?
They fired him the first time for that. They don't like
That's
that.
right. Yeah, they did.
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh,
They don't
Tony,
like,
I
they
tell
don't
you.
like that. They don't like that. They don't like that. They don't like that. They don't like
Wow.
that. Still don't like it.
That's why these
Things ain't changed that much. You got to realize desegregation is only 50 years old. So you got a lot of people that was raised up with a different belief system. Don't make you bad people. Don't make you a racist. Don't make you bad. It's the same thing. The reason people say, well, you don't live in Virginia no more, Tony. I don't live in Virginia no more because I'm not afraid of what the whites are going to think about me having a white wife. But I am very concerned about what blacks think about me doing that.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's going to be a while before we get over, we say we over racism, but we're not. Mark Henry had to go through, he did good, he did wonderful. But if he was white, he would have done much better. We all know that. He would have done much better if he was white. And that's with anything you do, because that's just how the world had been for so long. You know, it's been like that for so long. And what I did in my tab, I just learned to accept it the way it is. I didn't criticize it. I didn't look down on those that thought like that. I just learned to accept that's how the world is, you know. And with Caucasian, they can't mix and survive too. You ever hear the old saying, once you go black, you never go back?
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
Once a person of either gender interacts with a black man with certain positive attributes, they don't want to go back to the white version of
No,
it.
they can't. President Obama, mother is Irish. Father is black. Obama will never be Irish again. Rick and the Dragon Steamboat,
okay, I get what you're saying.
Rick and the
All right.
Dragon, right. The only way, it's only one way to create a white baby, only one way to do it, a white man and a white woman. You can't get it no other way. Once the most dominant gene in mixing, not nothing else now, just in mixing, is the darker the gene, the more dominant. A black man, Spanish woman, black baby. Black man, Jewish woman, black baby. Black man, Oriental woman, black baby. Tiger Wood. You know, got an Oriental mother,
Yeah.
black father, he's black. Tony Atlas got a Scottish father, black mother. Tony Atlas black.
So your father was white.
It's Scottish, yeah, you're white, yeah. So once you would never go back to being white. You'll never go back to being Spanish. You'll never go back to being Oriental. The black gene is dominant in mixing. People are like paint. There's one paint that can cover up nothing. You take a red wall, put white on it, it turns pink. You take a green wall, put white on it, it turns chartreuse. You take a purple wall, put white on it, it becomes lavender. You take a red wall, put black on it, become black. Black. Everything. That would mean once you go black, you never go back to what you were. If you read history, Thomas Jefferson was the last white person in his family because he had an affair with a slave girl. And all of his descendants was black. That's why they made a zip code to Jefferson with George Jefferson. He's supposed to be a descendant of Thomas Jefferson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's in your history book. Yeah, blacks in mixing. Everything a black man impregnate gonna be black. A white man can only make a white baby with, like Rick and the Dragon Steamboat, his father's white. Tito Santana, his father is white.
Oh, really? With a last name like Solis?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, we certainly have gone off on an adventure on
Well,
this
that's
one.
what happened with it's genes. And, you know, the darker the gene,
Yeah.
the more dominant that gene going to be in mixing.
Well,
Don't mean that the black is a dominant race. They just dominant in when it comes to babies. And Murdoch told me that too. Dick Murdoch, who was a Klansman, Murdoch said with you, Tony, everything you touch is going to turn black. With me, the only way I can make a white baby with a white woman, he can't make a white baby with a black woman. He can't make a white baby with a Chinese woman. He can't make a white baby with a Spanish woman. He can't do it. He can only make a white baby with a white woman. Whereas a black man make a black baby with any woman on the planet. Once you go black, you never go back to what you were. That's what it means. Got nothing to do with his genitals or any other that thing of that nature. It got something to do with his offspring. So a lot of this separatism was done strictly, and people found out about it years and years ago. They just never thought about it or they never talked about it because when the first European came in, they mixed with the Indians. They didn't get white babies, they got Indians. Then they had slaves, they mixed with the slaves. They didn't get white babies, they got brown babies. When they went to Vietnam, the soldier fooled with the Vietnamese girl. They didn't get white babies, they got Vietnamese babies.
It's almost like what happened with Pistol Pete Tringali. Yeah, he was over there for Vietnam, and he got a little frisky. All right, Tony, it is Mark Henry's big night. Any special memories of Mark on the road that stand out?
Okay, they wanted me to tell Mark Henry to lose weight. So John Law
This is WWE now.
Yeah, John Law and I said, Tony, he ain't losing no weight. You got to get him to lose weight. I said, but Mark, I said, at nighttime he eat a lot of food. They said, well, you got to order for him. Don't let him order. So Mark Henry get there, he order meatball sub, a pizza, some chicken wings, French fries, he order all this food. And I tell the waitress, no, don't bring him none of that. Bring him a Caesar salad. So so the lady canceled his order and brought him a Caesar salad. Mark Henry got so mad that they jumped up and almost turned the table over, and me and Chavo Guerrero, we was hiding on the table because Mark wanted his food. So I knew right then and there, do not interfere with Mark Henry eating. And I didn't. Then I saw him another time, they told Big Show don't fight on the bus no more, and Big Show fought it. Mark Henry chased him down, pressed him up over his head.
He picked up Big Show?
Yeah, like
really?
nothing. I see Mark Henry push a Greyhound bus uphill running. When we was in Europe, the buses couldn't get out. So we said, Mark, he'd get out, grab the back of the car, set it on the sidewalk, walk around the front, grab the front, set it on the sidewalk so the bus could get through.
Jeez, that is a strong human being.
Mark Henry never did bench press a day in his life. His first day in the gym when I was training, first day in the gym, do 500 pounds. First day, never did them before in his life.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And could do 500 pounds. I said, Mark, we got to do bench press. He said, I don't do bench press because he's an Olympic lifter.
Yeah.
You know, he ground up. You know, he did. That's power lifting. He never power lift. But he 500 was starting off.
Was it a challenge for you to almost have to babysit him as far as trying to convince him to order certain foods at certain times?
Well, he wouldn't eat breakfast. And most people that are overweight don't eat breakfast. And then what do they have? Mark won't eat breakfast. He have a small lunch, eat very little at lunchtime. But then at night.
Big dinner.
Right before you go to bed, that's why he put on all that weight. Because he ate his largest meal right before he went to bed. So I was trying to get him to eat breakfast, a big lunch, and a small dinner. So that he could, because if you eat a big breakfast, you got all day to burn it off.
Right.
You eat it's like putting gas in the car. If I put gas in my car in the morning, I get a full tank in the morning. By the end of the day, I got a quarter of a tank or half a tank. If you put gas in your car right before you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, you still got a full tank. And that's why he put on so much weight. The only thing I do was reverse his eating habit. But he was one of the strongest men I've seen in my life. Were
you successful in trying to get him to change his habits? No.
No.
He wasn't having that?
No, wasn't having no.
All right, Tony, in a couple of sentences, how do you describe the WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry on his big night?
I'm happy for him. I text him and I let him know that I was very, very happy that they are going to put him in the Hall of Fame. And there's another gentleman, too, that I'm very, very happy about, too. We all felt so bad for him in Legend House that he was not a Hall of Famer, and that's Hillbilly Jim.
Big night for him. We'll have to save Hillbilly for another episode.
Both guys deserve it. Mark Henry deserved to be there, and Hillbilly Jim deserved to be there. They're both wonderful people. They're both very good friends of mine.
All right, wrestling fans, we're going to take a brief timeout. We come back. We have one more Hall of Famer we're going to talk about. Stand by. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
MJ in the house.
Future WWE Hall of Famer, mind you. Let me tell you this.
I'm not in there yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But you will be.
Yeah, I will.
You know Sean wants to be the first three-timer.
Three-timer,
yeah.
yeah.
There you go. Let me tell you, you enjoy the in-studio shoot interviews 4 times a week. It isn't cheap to put these productions together, folks. We need your help.
No, because they got to pay me.
Coronavirus has killed the nightlife in a lot of ways. We are night owls, Marty and I, but that's a different story for a different time. One way you can help is to check out the great merchandise we have in the Boston Wrestling eBay store. It is perfect for any wrestling man cave or any collection.
That's right. Check it out.
At WrestleMania 37, she proved she is the EST, defeating Sasha Banks to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Here's your chance to own this limited edition collector's autograph print, personally signed by Bianca Belair, one of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Bianca Belair collectible for your wrestling collection now.
All right, wrestling fans, we are back. We've discussed Andre the Giant, the Fabulous Mula, and a man that's going to be enshrined in the WWE Hall of Fame tonight, Mark Henry. We got one more, a man that you've had eons of experience with, your former tag team partner, the Hall of Famer that went in 2008, Rocky Johnson.
Is he there too?
What's that now?
What, he going to be inducted again?
No, he was inducted several years back, but
Right.
you had quite a run with Rocky Johnson and several run-ins with Rocky Johnson over the years.
Yeah, well, see, me and Rocky, we came up during a period of time where there was only room for one black on top. Mm-hmm. And Vince Sr., not Junior, but Vince Sr. Was the first promoter to keep two blacks on top. Normally, the situation was like, I was the top guy, SD was the underneath guy. Mm-hmm. And then you go to another way, Rufus R. Jones was the top guy in Charlotte, I was the underneath guy. You go to Texas, Taylor Conway Jr. was the top guy, Ernie Ladd was the underneath guy. There was always had one guy, one black on top. The other black was the undercard guy. Vince Sr. got the idea of keeping both guys on top. And the way he did it, he decided to make us as a tag team, and that was the first one to do that. Normally, one of us would have to leave and go work another territory. But Senior said, "No, I'm gonna keep both of them." See, because I walked out on the WWF. I walked out, and they brought Rocky in to take my place. Well, when I came back, they were going to get rid of Rocky, but then they changed the man. They thought it'd be great to team us up and keep both of us together. And that's how me and Rocky became tag team champion.
He did an interview recently. He said he tried to help you an awful lot when you broke into the business. Is that true? I didn't think so.
No.
It was. I want to read a little bit of this interview because a couple of things kind of rubbed me the wrong way. He said he repeated a line that he claims Vince McMahon Jr. had stated, that you have $1 million body and a 5-cent brain. Was that ever said to you?
Not to me. It probably was said to Rocky about me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that Vince said that.
How did you get along with Rocky? I mean, I read your book. I know there were issues. Stranding you, claiming he was going to give you rides, trying to make you look bad.
That was the main thing right there.
Yeah.
Rocky, the first time that I came back, Vince Sr. decided to keep me and Rocky. And Vince Sr. asked me, said, you want to go back to L.A., Los Angeles, and get your car? Rocky stepped in. Nobody asked him nothing. Stepped in and said, oh, I got 2 cars. He could use one of my cars. Plus, we're going to be partners anyway. He could ride with me. So he dropped me off at a hotel in New Haven. Not New Haven, but Handon, Connecticut, right by New Haven. Dropped me off at the hotel, told me he was going to pick me up the next morning. Never came back to pick me up.
Why?
Wanted me to get fired. See, Rocky came along. I did hold it against him at first, but I don't hold nothing against Rocky. Like me and him, we talked. And Rocky figured that the only way he's going to keep his job is to get rid of me. I didn't understand that, but that was his belief.
And I don't think he was ever as over as you were in WWE. No, not at all.
No, but he knew as long as I was there, then he was going to be the. If you notice, when we won the title, I pinned Alpha. When we lost the title,
he took the pin.
He took the fall.
He did the job.
He did the job.
They protected you even in the loss.
Even in the loss, yeah.
He said when you guys were the champions, you didn't want to make the small towns.
No,
Is
not
that
true? Not true.
One thing I noticed when I did.
When me and him were champion, I was already on the shit list. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make every town. My car was in Los Angeles. I would depend on Rocky for a ride. So Rocky would leave me.
How many times did that happen?
Oh, he did it about 3 or 4 times. And then Vince family took and bought me a car.
Really?
They bought me a Cadillac.
Senior or junior?
Senior.
He bought you a nice car?
Yeah, because Rocky would pay. And then Chief Jay Strongbow kept telling him, team him up with SD or put SD on the car.
Then you had someone
Then I had a way.
reliable.
Yeah. Chief Jay Strongbow kept telling Vince, put him with SD. SD would make sure he get the SD would take care of him. So what ended up happening, they started booking SD on the same car with me. That's how I was able to make sure. My car was in L.A., and I worked every night. I couldn't get my car.
One thing I noticed.
But then later on, me and Rocky became friends.
One thing I noticed during your run as tag team champions, a lot of the times you were wrestling a singles match on one town, and Rocky was working a singles match on the other town. Was there a reason for that?
Yep. They didn't want us to. They didn't want us to grow.
They didn't want you to grow.
They didn't want us to grow. They didn't want us to become successful as black champion, because Senior put the belt on us. Mm-hmm. Junior took them off.
Took them off.
See, that was Senior idea. It wasn't Junior.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. You went through some difficult times during that period. It's in the book. We're going to talk about it hopefully in future episodes of Memories and Legends. Do you think you were hard to do business with at that time?
No.
That's what Rocky alluded to in the interview.
No.
This is the sticking point to me, because I know we've talked about this on the phone before in private conversations. He said you were part of that large class action lawsuit against WWE. And
No.
Now, why would he say that you were?
I don't know. I'm not. Look it up yourself.
Like I said, you and I have discussed that lawsuit on the phone.
I mean,
before.
it's on the computer. You can look it up. My name is not on there.
You've been recruited. People have tried to attempt you to be part of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't say nothing with nobody.
Is there a reason why you don't want to be a part of it?
I don't have concussion.
You never suffered a concussion?
No.
Really?
No.
Well, it's good for your health.
No, nothing wrong with me. I mean, you know, yeah, I was approached several times about that. I never signed it.
And last that he said that, I said, this doesn't sound like Tony Atlas at all. He said you did this must be maybe within the past year, you did some kind of shows with him, and you took money from him and ran off and supposedly owe him this money. I said, that doesn't sound like the Tony Atlas that I know.
We only did maybe 2 appearances. I got it.
And was there some kind of a financial issue where you stiffed him on something?
No.
Well, that was what was on YouTube.
No.
And I didn't like it, because I know you, like I said, we first met in 1993, and I've only known you through Tony Rumble as a good man.
Yeah, because a promoter don't pay us together. No
Right,
promoter
right.
do that. Promoter give Rocky his money, promoter give me my money.
Right.
You know. But I think what happened was, see, when I first started talking about Rocky, to be honest with you, Rocky ain't seen my book. I think he saw my book.
Oh, you think he was getting a couple of receipts in that interview?
He saw my book. See, but the book is true. That's how he was. Every wrestler knew that. Rocky sold Bill Watts a dead horse.
He what?
Sold Bill Watts a dead horse. He got these paper for a horse, and he said, this is a great racehorse. So the guy went, to Bill Watts sold it to Rocky, went to get the horse. The guy said, oh yeah, that's a great racehorse. Rocky, the Bill Watts said, well, can I see him? He said, not really, it's dead. He sold SD Rick Martel car.
I remember that from your book.
That's what's Rocky. He was. That's how he was.
He had the reputation, correct me if I'm wrong,
screwing you.
of
You
being
couldn't
kind of
trust
a hustler, kind of sleazy. Is that true? Yeah.
That was Rocky.
And I tell you, I've met his
He's
wife.
not that way now.
I met his ex-wife at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, Zada Johnson, and she's a lovely lady.
Yep. Oh, yep. Yep. But Rocky's not a bad person. Rocky just
So
came
what
up,
is the hustling all about? What's the element of sleaze?
Well, it was how he was raised.
He was raised to
He
be
was raised
sleazy.
in Canada,
Okay.
in an area where blacks was treated worse in that area he from than they were here. So Rocky always had to fight for what he wanted. And me being younger than him, coming in, and they give me the same push. He did at one time, I was going to quit in Florida, and he did talk me out of quitting. So he did do that.
He lent you a hand a little bit. He offered you some advice.
He was not all bad now. Me and Rocky trouble did not start until they team us up. Because Rocky had the whole thing to himself, because I left.
Yeah.
Then I come back.
In this competition.
I look at it as professional. He was trying to get rid of me on a professional basis, not a personal basis, you know. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because I saw some of that interview, and I was kind of shocked, and he was upset too.
Do you
on
think?
that interview. So I think he was so upset because he didn't know what I said about it. I said in my book that Rocky was so low that he could walk underneath a snake without bending over. And I think Rocky. But at that time, this was before the book was written before me and Rocky reunion. After I sat and talked to him, I found out they would come and tell me stuff about Rocky, and I get pissed off at Rocky. They go tell Rocky stuff about me. Rocky get pissed off about me. So they was pushing us, the other wrestlers, and we was not aware of it. So when Rocky told me they would say this and this and this about me, I said, really? And I said, Rocky, they told me you said this and this and this. So we was fighting at each other, but there was other entity that was pushing up to.
They wanted to see a little friction.
Right, and that's why Vince Jr. kept us separated. If you stop and think of me and Rocky, the whole time we had the belt, we teamed up 3 times. When we won it, then we teamed up in a 6-man tag with Andre the Giant against Peter Maivia and the Samoan. And then the 3rd time that me and Rocky teamed up in the ring when we lost the title. We only defend.
You never did the house
we
shows?
We defend that title.
I know you guys did a lot of singles matches.
We only defend the title 1 time.
Wow.
And we lost on our first defense of the title. We lost.
Wow.
8 months after we got the title, and they put us all in separate buildings. Cause Rocky kept leaving me.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car, and my thing was that Rocky was supposed to pick me up and take me to the show, and he never did that.
Do you think that if you guys, well, on Rocky's end, if he wanted to kind of work with you instead of against you, you could have had a much bigger and better
There was
run?
no black wrestler back in them days would work with another black wrestler, except for Ernie Ladd.
Okay.
Because there was only room for one on top. The one they put on the bottom, they put him on the bottom first, then they get rid of him.
What I'm saying is, if he tried to work with you instead of against you, do you think you could have had an even more successful run?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And why didn't he see that?
Well, no black wrestler seen it back then. It wasn't just Rocket. No black wrestler would have done that. JYD did everything he did to bury me, too.
Really?
Yeah, the only black wrestler that didn't do anything to me was S.D. Jones and Ernie Ladd and Rufus R. Jones. Wow. Taggart Conway did the same thing to me in Texas. Rocket wasn't the only one.
Well, I know
me and Dusty Rhodes talk about that night when Vince had a thing with me, Dusty Rhodes, and Teddy Long and all of us. And Dusty Rhodes say right on tape, they all were jealous of you, Tony. When I walked in the dressing room, they knew I was going to get the top spot. They knew that. When I went to Texas, Taggart Conway Jr. was the top guy. Once I came in, I was the top guy.
You came in young. You came in inexperienced in the business.
It was the same thing with JYD.
You got over huge everywhere you went.
It was the same way with JYD. JYD would joke about what I did in the dressing room. He would do it like it's a joke. Man, that Tony, I'm telling you, that Tony was so messed up last night. I don't know what he was taking. He was taking something last night. He was so messed up last night, he couldn't even find his way in the room. But he's saying it in front of Pat, in front of Vince, and everybody else. Oh, man, I'm telling you, I had a hard time getting Tony to the match that he just got in the gym. You know, he overslept because he was up all night partying, and I almost I was late because of Tony. He wasn't late because of me. He was late because he got up late. But he told Vince it was because of me. Huh. See? I remember Vince Jr. come to me, Vince Sr. come to me one time when me and Rocket was late for TV, and he told me, say, Tony, the next time you want to go to the gym, go earlier. He said, I'm going to fine you $500 for being late, but I'm not going to fine Rocket because it wasn't his fault that he was late. I said, what are you talking about? I said, Rocket was late because he had his wife and son in one room and his girlfriend in another room. He tried to dump the girlfriend so his wife don't see her.
Really? In the same hotel?
Yeah,
wow.
and George Washington all the time. But he told Vince Jr. that he was late because of me. I mean, Vince Sr. Vince Sr. came and told me. I told him, no. Wow. I said, I almost called a ride with Seeker. I said, Seeker told me I could give me a ride if Rocket don't come out the room.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's how it was. I don't, like I said, I love Rocket to death. He's a great guy.
If he walked in right now, what would the conversation be?
We wouldn't even talk about this.
I mean, would it be a handshake, a hug?
Yeah,
would there be tension?
Handshake, hug, yeah.
Tension?
I like Rocket.
Any tension?
No, it's gone because I know the reason for it. See, once you found out, the time was different. It was survival.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to survive.
Yeah.
He didn't want to leave the territory, and he was worried you were going to push him out because of your success.
Exactly. So he did what he did. He did what he did to feed his family.
Let me ask you this. This might be of interest to the fans. You were around a young Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, one of the biggest superstars in Hollywood. You were around him when he was living in little territory motels.
Yeah.
What are your memories of a young Rock?
Temperamental.
What's that now?
Have a bad temper.
Did he?
Yeah, very hot-headed.
Now, how old was he when you were around him, would you say, if you were guessing?
I knew him when he was 4, 5.
Oh, that
6.
young? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He always had a temper.
Yeah.
You know, you can even see him sometime in him. He got very bad temper.
Yeah. He wrote a little about that in one of his
Yeah, he's
books.
very. He could be a real hothead at times. You know. Yeah. But he always was. He always was a hard worker. A very humble young man. You know, success, as you can see, never went to his head. He's very gracious. He's a great kid. But when he was young, he had a very, very bad temperament. Yeah. I mean, worse than mine. I had a bad temper, but not as bad as his.
Really?
He was very temperamental when he was young.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Everybody, when you do these quote-unquote shoot interviews and things like that, they want all the dirt and the negative stories. Any positive memories of when you and Rocky teamed up and won the titles?
No.
None?
None.
All right. Well,
We would have became our buddy if they kept us separated.
are you happy that you've made peace with them?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm very happy that we was able to sit down and discuss our differences. You know. But Rocky's a great guy. I like Rocky.
Even despite all that shit that he spoke, you still think highly of him?
Yeah.
Good.
I don't pay that no man.
Well, it is professional wrestling
Because you got to
all.
realize what they did to him. He got a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And he's pointing out everybody. Rocky Johnson's career ended in 1982.
Why is that?
They wouldn't book him no more.
So
Think about it.
how did he wind up with you then?
No, that's when we lost the belt.
You lost the belts in '82?
We won them in 82. And what year we lost them?
I think you lost them in '84.
84?
Yeah.
That was the end of Rocky's career.
He really didn't do much after that.
Vince never called him back again.
What did he go on to do for work?
Just
do you know?
independence.
Just into that was how he lived? Was on independent wrestling with a wife and kid? Really?
But they was all grown then. They was all grown then. The Rock was all grown. He was in college, played football, and all that stuff. The kids were grown. But you stop and think about it. Where did Rocky Johnson went to work after we dropped the title?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Tony Atlas went to AWA. Tony Atlas went to World Class. Tony Atlas went to Puerto Rico. Tony Atlas came back to the WWF to do Saba Simba. Where was Rocky in the 90s? They didn't use him
Nowhere.
for nothing.
No, and in the '90s, they were hot to trot to try and sign anybody, and when they had
And
the
Rocky
competition.
was not Rocky. They ended his career. They did in 1980. They ended Thunderbolt Patterson career when they started WCW. That was the end of Thunderbolt Patterson.
He ran into some problems down in Georgia, right?
Yeah, he was black.
Tony, I love it. You call it as you see it, buddy. That's why we love
He
this.
was a black man that thought he could speak up like a white man.
All right, let's wrap it up. It looks like you're ready to get into the snacks again. Tony, if you could, sum up Rocky Johnson in a few sentences. The good, the bad, and the in-between.
Rocky Johnson is a trailblazer for bodybuilders, athletic. Rocky Johnson brought grace and style to pro wrestling. I mean, when you watch him wrestle and you watch Dwayne, it's identical. The same shaking of the leg, the same movement. You put a match of Rocky Johnson, put a match of Dwayne Johnson, you see it's not much difference between them. They wrestle the same. Rocky was one of the pioneers in his business. You know, he was one of the first black men to ever wear a WWE tag team belt. He raised his family. He never neglected his kid. He got kids by a previous wife.
He had his
I
rats.
bet his daughter. His
Yeah.
daughter said that Rocky never forsaken his family. He's a good family man. He the one that really trained Dwayne. It wasn't for The Rock, there'd be no. If it wasn't for Rocky Johnson, there'd be no Dwayne Johnson. I wish that our earlier relationship, came out differently, but the times was different.
Right.
So if everybody, I wrote in my book, I never had fear of any white wrestler. My only problem with black wrestlers, because they only have room for one black on top. See, so if I was to sum up things about Rocky, here in the last couple of years, Rocky been a great friend to me and my wife. He bailed us out a couple of times when we was low on money.
Really?
Yep. We a couple of times I didn't get no bookings, and Rocky called me up, asked me how I was doing. My wife got to talk to his wife. Next thing I know, I go to the mail. Rocky paid my mortgage 1 year.
For a year?
Yeah, 1 year, during that year he did.
I
for
see
one
what you
month.
mean.
Yeah, he sent me money, and that's probably the money he's mad that I stiffened on because
Maybe.
I didn't pay him back. I didn't give that money back to him yet. That's what he's talking about there. 'Cause I remember one time I told Rocky, I said, "Well, I hope they don't cancel this show because I got to pay my mortgage." He said, "How much is your mortgage?" So I told him. Then the next day, his wife called and said, "What's your address?" And Rocky is sending you some money through Western Union to pay your mortgage.
Wow. Well, so you know what? For the heat that there has been over the years, there is some goodwill.
Yeah, Rocky done that.
And
He
I
paid my
think
mortgage.
the Rocky might have.
Now he want me to give it back to him because he read my book. But I say some pretty horrible things about Rocky, and I want to tell Rocky I'm sorry for what I said. But at that time, I didn't understand why he did what he did. But now that I know why he did what he did, then I don't hold nothing that happened between us against him.
When you guys had this powwow, when you kind of made peace, did he explain that to you? That the reason
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay, well, you know,
Yeah.
he was honest about it, if
Yeah.
nothing else.
Well, that's why I don't hold nothing against him because he told me why he did what he did. He was trying to protect his career because he knew more about the business I did. He was in it longer. Mm-hmm. He started in the '60s, so he knew that eventually they're gonna replace the old bull with the young bull. Mm-hmm. He knew that was gonna come sooner or later. Rocky's about 10 years older than me.
Oh, he's
don't
that
know
old?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think he just had his hip replaced.
Yeah.
If you want to send him a
In
text
fact, me
message.
and him doing a show together next month.
Really?
Yeah, the 20. It's gonna be in Pennsylvania. Alfred and Seek are gonna be there.
Oh,
me and
wow.
Rocky. Yeah, we still
That's
do
quite a
events
little
together.
reunion.
Yeah, it's gonna be in May. I'm doing a thing with Rocky in May.
All right.
I
well,
think it's the 26th.
hopefully the good vibes continue. What more can you say? Life's
Yeah,
too short
but-
not to be
but
friends
Rocky,
if you
Rocky's
can.
a great guy. He been over backer for his friend. But we did have a rough go over in our younger days.
All right. Well, Tony, I have to say, these stories that we've shared here have been exceptional. I hope we
So
can...
what else did Rocky say about me?
That was it. That was it, pretty much. It wasn't exactly long. It wasn't. He didn't say it with any malice. He just kind of stated it as fact. But I know, just based on our
I
conversations...
know I saw somebody say I couldn't work.
He didn't say... No, I didn't...
I
well,
saw
at least
that.
in this one interview, he didn't say anything like
Yeah.
that. All right, Tony, we talked
But
about...
I think Rocky's feelings got hurt because he helped me out, with my mortgage and stuff like that.
And then after the fact,
and
it's
then,
on the
and
book.
he found hearing some of this stuff. I remember
Yeah.
his wife called me up one time and said, yeah, they said you badmouth Rocky in your book. He said, I told Rocky that you wouldn't do that. And I didn't want to tell her then. I said, well, yeah, but I did. I did. I sure
You
did.
told your life story through your eyes.
It happened.
You lived it.
He did it. He did it. He
All
did
right.
it.
Andre the Giant, Moolah, Mark Henry, Rocky Johnson, they're in the book. I can't wait for the next episode. I believe the Sunday of WWE Backlash, we're going to be back on BostonWrestling.com with yet another great episode. But for the fans that are enjoying WrestleMania weekend, tonight's the Hall of Fame. This Sunday, Tony Atlas and I are going to be back with another episode of Memories and Legends. We're going to break down WWF, Tony Atlas, and everything WWF from 1984 through WrestleMania 2. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. For my good friend, the Hall of Famer Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marati. John Cena Sr. is on assignment with beautiful women in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, my goodness.
I think we'll talk about that off the air.
All right.
Until we speak again, folks, you and yours, be well.
Love, bye, boom.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut, Saturday, April the 19th, 1986. In the opening contest, Jim Brunzell beat Hercules. Nikolai Volkov with the win over Lanny Poffo. Jake the Snake Roberts defeated S.D. Jones. B. Brian Blair victorious over Mr. X, who replaced Bob Orton. George the Animal Steel beat the Iron Sheik. Hillbilly Jim with the win over the Gladiator, who replaced Adrian Adonis. And in the main event, the WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan and Junkyard Dog defeated Hoss Funk and Bob Orton, who replaced Terry Funk. If you were in Hartford Live, share your memories in the comments section below. Use the link in the description box to help keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.